Well, they don't actually show these videos to anybody, so at least I don't have to worry about saying what's actually on my mind and offending somebody. So I've been watching from a distance most of the time this Candace Owens true crime drama, and here's what I see out of this. There's a whole lot of this.
Draped over my bag was Charlie's necklace that had a cross and medallions on it. And I had heard they were looking for that. And so cop was like, "Oh, we've been looking for that." I said, "I got it." So I just took it.
Okay. So he's explaining that they did say this is a crime scene. Obviously, there could be evidence in here that we need. That makes sense to me. But they allow him to grab his bag and Charlie's necklace, and he goes away. And I would have assumed that they then impounded the vehicle for further inspection. But that if I had assumed that, I would be wrong, actually. What happened is immediately after the car was transported to it was towed to a towing facility that's just kind of really around the corner from the hospital. And then from there, on Monday, they had another tow truck come and take that car so that it could get a cleaning and be immediately put up for auction. Now, this is unusual on two ends of this. I'll tell you what those two ends are. The first end is that this was a rental vehicle, right? And even if a crime happens in a rental vehicle, especially a brand new one that is that big, you as the owner of a rental car facility, you have an option to get that car back. You have an option, obviously, to get that car back, to get it cleaned. If you're going to get the whole thing recarpeted, that would be a tremendous loss against the company for you to just, never mind, whatever, sell it. Well, apparently, and I'm saying this allegedly, the owner of the company was in California at the time. He gets a phone call and he's just like, "No, never want to see this vehicle ever again at our facility. I don't want there to be any PTSD for the people that work here at the rental facility. Just like get rid of it. You could sell it and that's it. It's never coming back here." Maybe that is just kind of a good-natured response. I would assume they weren't going to, haul it in with all of Charlie's blood in it. But the speed at which this vehicle was just given up effectively for auction is unusual, especially because they didn't even require insurance to come, which would make sense. We know how this works. You can't collect, even if you're going to say, "Hey, whatever, I want to get rid of this vehicle." You're going to want to make sure that you have tons of pictures and evidence, and you got to send the insurance guys. The insurance guys have to talk about how much damage has been done to this vehicle. I don't know who has to pay for it to be fixed before it can be sold, but you're going to have to send insurance. None of that happened, okay? Just like, whoop.
Okay, first off, no crime happened in the vehicle. So I'm sorry if they didn't do what you think they should have done, and that's what your whole investigation has been. Why did they do this? Isn't that weird? And all she is doing is going over trivial fucking details, acting like she knows industry standards for these things. Like, what is this? Is this the 10th time you've had a friend shot in the head and thrown in the back of a truck to take to the hospital or something? You're a professional at this now? And I'll tell you right now, if I was running a fleet of cars and somebody got massacred in one of them, I'd do the exact same thing. Get it the hell out of here. I don't ever want to see it again. I'll take my losses, especially with something this high profile. So let me explain a few things about Candy here and her supposed feud with Daily Wire. Now, most people don't know this, but all of the based YouTube creators, the whole first generation that was here from 2000 up to 2016 to 2019, in that time frame, all got banned for life or shadow banned. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about on this. And then they installed Conservative Inc., like PragerU and Daily Wire. And right out the gate, they were a $200 million company for like 5 or 6 YouTube channels. That don't math. So somebody was putting up big money for this. By 2019, just before COVID, not coincidentally, they had a whole roster of approved channels that they could corral all of the based people over to watch. I mean, do you guys remember how hard they promoted Lex Friedman's channel, the guy that's got the personality of a paperclip? I mean, for a year straight, it was the #1 next recommended video every time. And then Ben Shapiro was put in place to represent the old school tie-wearing Republicans. This was to reel in the boomers that still think that God commands us to support the Chosenites no matter what they do. So then Candy and Benny had their little feud. Then she comes out talking about Shabbatized V and the Frankists and It was all good stuff. I never honestly cared for Candace that much, but she was spitting some truth that people should know, so I was with it. But let's go over a couple things. First, the feud and their exchanges back and forth. At one point, she says, "You cannot serve both God and money," and use the phrase, "Christ is king." And it was the Christ is king thing that was the real impetus behind her leaving. According to her, it's because of her strict Christian values. That was November 13th, 2023. And then 5 months later, April of 2024, she converts to Catholicism and is baptized. Now, if she was so strong in her faith back in November that she quit her job and had this big feud because she insisted Christ is king, then why did she convert to Catholicism? I mean, when somebody changes their religion, it's usually because they find something fundamentally wrong with the one that they've had. And I couldn't find anywhere that she had been baptized before that. So isn't that weird? Don't you think it's obviously strange that she changed her religion just after saying all that? See, Candy, we can all play this vague fucking accusation game. But most of us have the common decency not to come out and imply that the widow of the man that's just been assassinated and recorded from 1,000 different angles was in on it because her and her staff didn't immediately reply to your questions. Or because somebody lied about a trivial detail. Let me explain something. TPUSA is a $100 million plus company. It's based around politics, which means that people that are going to work there are people that want to be politicians, want to have power, want to be big shots, just like Candace. That's why she worked there. And this could be a hit piece, but New York Post says that she was loathed by staff and her behavior was sadistic and dangerous. That I do believe. I've known vengeful, scornful women before, and she's one of them, in my opinion. She's the kind of woman that is fake overly nice to your face and then goes home and talks shit to her husband about you all night long. She's also the kind of woman that when she's being a bitch, she's proud of it. She's empowered. She gets off on it. So I don't know if she's being paid and this was part of the plan to do what she's doing right now, or just hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. But she has done more to divide the right since MAGA began in 2016, single-handedly. Right when a bunch of people are finally openly saying, hey, look, our government's run by a little patch of sand in the Eastern Mediterranean, she comes out and becomes the largest creator talking about that subject. Then 3 months ago, she started going full bore, making crazy-ass accusations about the Charlie thing. And I hope you understand that right now, the globalist number one priority is more social media censorship. And she's giving them all kinds of fuel for the fire.
They believe any number of theories. They believe that Erica Kirk was his Mossad handler and that he was killed by a foreign government. They believed that she was tracked by Egyptian planes. They believe that the rings on her hand are signs of Illuminati. The theories themselves are absurd. What matters is that because she speaks about this in the interview, the brain rot that social media is allowing to spread, the way that it is detaching us from humanity, from our ability to talk to one another and our ability to discern the truth from just out and out lies, is something that is incredibly important as a theme, I think.
That's what's... That means you won't trust those good people in the future. You haven't gotten smarter, you've just been manipulated. When forced to demonstrate their evidence, these same people will often refuse to provide it. They'll claim ignorance. They'll pretend they're outside the system. And they don't have access to actual information. You know, they're just asking questions.
PSYOP, when I use the term, is talking about a narrative-driven control of perception with the aim of shaping behavior.